Hello YouTubers, Benign Chaos here, and today I'm just going to talk to you about my latest gaming obsessions. To start off, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS. I just got this on Friday when it came out, and I have to say I'm really enjoying this game. Uh, it's been getting some mixed reviews, I believe, but the graphics are great, and it makes great use of the 3D on the 3DS, which a lot of games that have come out for the 3DS I feel haven't done. And it uses color really well, very vibrant colors, very nice special effects, and it just makes the whole thing kind of flash, and it's a lot of fun to look at. On top of that, the soundtrack is really good. It's a lot of fun, very varied, lots of different styles in there, and it's pretty high quality soundtrack. The dialogue is also really funny. When you're playing, you'll notice that there's dialogue playing throughout the game, uh, between Pitt and Palutena, and also some of the other characters who I won't mention, so as not to spoil who you'll meet. But there are many characters, and they're a lot of fun. They all have very different personalities, and pretty good voice acting actually. And those happen throughout the first section of each stage. Excuse me, when you're when you're flying. So those are a lot of fun, and they'll also pop up a little bit when you're on the ground fighting enemies there. Now, one very interesting thing about the dialogue and the game in general is that it ventures into some very new territory, or at least it seems to for Nintendo, in that some of the themes that are brought up are a little more mature, and this is reflected a little bit in the everyone plus or 10 plus or plus 10 rating for the North American rating of the game. And this shows up in that the game does deal with humans going at war and people actually dying a bit. And the game's very funny. It's a very light-hearted game, but it does deal with this, and this actually to me kind of makes it adds a little bit of value to it for me. Makes it very different. Kind of glad to see it. It's nice to see them venture into new territory. It kind of reminds me of when Pokemon Black and White came out, and the storyline was dealing with Pokemon being used as fighting machines, really, as being abused, and kind of Nintendo branching out into new concepts, not just in gameplay, but in some of the gameplay, or not the gameplay elements, the story elements. Now, of course, the big thing with Kid Icarus Uprising that I'm sure a lot of you want to hear about from lots of different people is the control scheme. Lots of people complain that the control scheme is painful, awkward, simply doesn't work, imprecise. And I won't say that the control scheme is perfect, because it certainly isn't. You have the option of multiple different control schemes when you're playing Kid Icarus Uprising, three different ones if I recall correctly. And these are the one that everybody knows. You can use the analog pad for movement and the touch screen for aiming the reticle. Or, in addition to this, you can use the D-pad to use, or the D-pad to move the reticle, or the ABXY buttons to move the reticle. So you don't necessarily have to use the control pad. Also, if you use the Circle Pad Pro, I have been told that you can do a lefty mode for the game, and that could be useful. Obviously, not obviously, but I haven't had a chance to try that because I don't have a Circle Pad Pro, but that might be something interesting. I personally have only used the touch screen because I haven't felt that there's any reason not to do it. To me, the using the touchscreen isn't necessarily the most precise method of controlling the reticle and the camera in ground missions, but I do find that it adds a lot of uniqueness and character to the game. This is probably one of the reasons why I love the game the most, and that might seem pretty strange to some people, but I feel that it makes the game unique, and it kind of reminds me of playing The World Ends With You. That wasn't a game that was particularly easy to control. You had to do something with your left hand on the buttons and another thing with your right hand on the uh, touch screen, and they were two very different things. And you kind of have that same thing going on with Kid Icarus. This plays out a lot better in air missions than on ground missions because you're not actually moving the camera in air missions at the same time. But in ground missions, this can be a bit of a problem because you're actually turning around using the touch screen. And while it is imprecise, it does work, and I feel it actually makes the game a little bit fun just to deal with this learning curve and learning something new. Now, obviously, not everyone else is going to be on board with that, but that's just my idea or my reception of this new control scheme. And I hope to see more like this because I really enjoyed it. You do get to tweak the sensitivity of the touchscreen in the options menu of the game, so you can play with it and also invert it if you like. So it's not just given to you and deal with it. One other thing that I would like to mention, although I don't have too much experience with it, is the multiplayer aspect of the game, which I actually thought was pretty fun. You can play a free-for-all mode where you play against 5 other players online or in person, or you can do light versus dark. Now, I haven't tried light versus dark yet, but I did try the free-for-all, and that was a lot of fun. Very frenetic, very crazy, and it's a little hard to keep track of everything, especially when you're all up close and trying to melee each other and dodging each other. But it does play out a lot like Super Smash Bros., I felt. Very crazy. There is definitely some skill involved, but also some randomness. I was able to win some matches, and I'm not very practiced in this game, and usually pretty bad at games in general. But I was able to win a couple. I lost very many as well. And you get stuff even if you lose. You always get hearts. There's always a chance that you'll get weapons, so there's always incentive to keep going. And that's another really nice thing about this game, is that there's always incentive to go back to it. You keep getting weapons, you keep getting usable items, and you keep getting hearts that you can spend on these things. And all in all, I really loved Kid Icarus Uprising. And loved is probably not the word to use. I should say love because I'm still playing it. I can't stay away from it. So that's Kid Icarus Uprising. Another one of my obsessions recently, as with many other people, is Mass Effect 3. And I've been playing the storyline pretty much constantly, but I'm not going to talk about the storyline because everyone that's obviously what Mass Effect 3 is all about, as with all the other Mass Effect games. Instead, I want to talk about the multiplayer because that's what's new, and I'm actually enjoying that quite a bit. I've just been playing that with friends, but the multiplayer I feel maybe got a little too much flack at the beginning. I'm no shooter fan. I'll get that out of the way right now. So I'm sure there are other games that do the mechanics better, but I do enjoy coordinating with friends and kind of lasting against waves of enemies, and I just found this to be pretty cool. In a similar way, I really enjoyed Lost Planet 2. I don't know if you know what, probably if you did enjoy Lost Planet 2 in multiplayer, you probably could see the appeal of Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Just the idea of collaborating with your friends to take down enemies. You kind of have to tell each other where you want to go, where you should be, what enemies to take out. You can plan who will take what character class because you don't want to all be the same character class because that tends not to work. And you have to coordinate, helping each other out. When one of your allies goes down, you have to pick them up again, stuff like that. And one really nice thing, very similar to Kid Icarus Uprising, is there's always incentive to go back to this, not only for playing with other people, which is always cool, but also because you unlock stuff as you play. You unlock other character classes to play in multiplayer mode, and you also unlock weapons and upgrades to your weapons, which is pretty nice. And the last thing I wanted to talk about today was Phantasy Star Online 2. I might have said that too quickly. Phantasy Star Online 2. This is a game that's coming out for PC, PS Vita or PlayStation Vita, and also recently announced on iOS and Android devices. And what really grabbed my attention at the time of recording this was that it has just been announced to be free to play, and I totally fell off my chair when I read this. I was sure this game was going to be paid. Not only is the game going to be free, it's not going to have a subscription fee, but it's also going to be free to download. So free to play in all senses of the word. And it's going to be based on microtransactions in the game, um, where you'll buy items or things like that. And I can live with that. I've played a couple free to play games in the past. I've kind of stayed away from them for a while, but I played the first Phantasy Star Online on the Dreamcast and loved it. I didn't beat it because of personal issues with our internet connection, but I'm really looking forward to this and getting back into Phantasy Star Online 2, which at the same time, when I was so happy to see it was free to play, I also went, no, because it's going to ruin my life when it comes out. But I'm looking forward to it. Also, on April 5th, I believe, uh, they announced, or Sega announced, that they'll have a character creation demo up for all fans of the game to play, not just a closed beta like they have running now. And I'll give that a shot. Usually I play as a cast in these games, but I might try something different. Uh, so it's boring to always be a robot. Got to try the other characters. Anyway, those are my latest gaming obsessions, so I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble on about what I think about stuff and junk, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching.